All right, welcome back, everyone. Hey, Crayle.
Hello, Kelly. We've got both Phoenix sisters in the house.
Can you all handle the Phoenix fire heat? Can Beth Broderick handle it is the question. I'm so excited.
I'm
I
sure she can.
uh, She's a wonderful lady. So we're going to bring on Beth because that's who you're all really here to see. So welcome to our celebrity guest. Welcome, Beth. You look
Hi,
beautiful today.
everybody. Hi. Good
How
morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I am very well. Thank you. I've got all the problems everybody wants every day of my life.
That's not a bad thing to have.
That is not.
Thank you so much for being here. We really
Thank you for
appreciate
doing
it.
this. I'm so happy you're partnering with my dear friend John Ritter's foundation. It's very, very moving to me.
We have really enjoyed advocating for them. We're currently at, let me just double check. We're at 37% of our goal, so $740. Yeah, so everyone listening, if you haven't donated yet, keep those donations coming in. We've had a lot of people be very generous. We're really excited. We've also gotten the word out. Amy was really great on Friday, just advocating for the cause, talking about aortic health. She's really knowledgeable. So
yeah, she knows a lot about it, and she's such a brilliant, beautiful lady.
I really enjoyed talking to her. Her story is amazing.
Yeah, pretty great.
So why don't you tell us what's your connection to the John Ritter Foundation?
Well, I met John. The first time I worked with John was on a show called Hooperman. I don't know if you guys remember that show. It was a really funny police kind of comic police procedural kind of a show. And I played this crazy woman who was it was in a manic phase, and she decided she hated all men, and so I was cutting the crotches out of all men's pants in closet that I could find. This is crazy, like. And at one point, they take me out on a stretcher because I'm like completely lost it. And Mark Hamill was also guest starring, and he is funny as all get out. And the two of them together, I'm strapped to this gurney, and the two of them were just making me laugh until I cried. I was weeping. I mean, they were so funny. And I mean, it was just like a dream come true. John and I both love physical comedy. So when we were doing Hearts of Fire together, which we did a show, I think I did a couple seasons of it. I think it ran for 3. It was John Ritter, Marky Post, bless her heart, and it was really a joy to work with him. And John and I would always go like, okay, so John, you come in, the phone will ring. I'll go into the desk. I'll bump my head. You grab the phone, wrap it around. Like, we would come up with these incredible, like, physical comedy bits. And Harry Thomason, our wonderful director, would just go, John, Beth, please just say the lines. please don't do any of that. Just say the lines. And we never stopped trying to get him to let us do full-on banana peel lampshade comedy. That's what we love to do,
You know what? Life is better with that physical comedy, though. It really is.
Yeah.
And Kristen says she loved Hearts of Fire.
Yeah, I did too. Oh my God, George Gaines, Billy Bob Thornton. There were so many funny people. Working with George Gaines, I don't know if you guys remember who he was. He was the white-haired guy in Police Academy, and he was also in Tootsie. He was the one that serenaded Tootsie on the sidewalk.
Oh
Funniest man you've ever met in your life. I had to hold a clipboard every time I was in a scene with him because I was laughing, and I would hold it in front of my face because I couldn't get through. I mean, he was so damn funny.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, Punky Brewster. That's what he was also really known for. Funny man. Oh my gosh, we had a lot of fun on that show.
Oh goodness. And so where did your love of comedy and comedic acting come from?
I don't know. Maybe a tortured childhood. I don't know.
It always comes from pain, right?
Right? It always comes from something like that. John had a very complex relationship to the industry and to the world. He was a really deep person and very easily. I mean, he cared about everyone and everything, every single creature. It was his heart was always breaking. He was
Oh,
really that sensitive. And I think those of us who are that sensitive, we turn to comedy to survive. It's a mechanism.
oh yeah, humor is huge for coping when you have trauma, and
Hmm.
it also becomes like comedy shows become a safe place. Like I know growing up, Sabrina was a safe place for me, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I've heard that from so many people, and it's so moving to me. Also, like this is so funny because Melissa and Joan Hart and I sometimes we'll do those conventions and meet fans and stuff, which is really fun to do. And when these girls would approach Melissa's sitting here and people would approach me and just start crying. She's like, "Why are they always crying?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know." And I'm like, "I just make them cry." And they would say to me, "I became a scientist because of you," or
Oh my
"You were the
gosh.
mother figure in my life that I could trust," or like it had a big impact on a lot of people's lives, and it's the number 3 streaming show on Peacock right now.
I love that.
It has a whole new audience, a whole new generation of kids that are watching it, and you really can't beat that.
Yeah, it has aged well. Like some shows you go back and watch them and you're like,
Yeah.
but it really holds up well. And I will be right back. So Crayle, hold down the fort. I'm sorry, my son is asking for
I
food.
was going to say, it sounded like somebody young needs some attention.
It
Yeah.
happens.
Yep.
It
I'll
happens.
be right back.
Darn
Okay.
small humans.
Yeah. Yes.
I say as
I heard
someone
that.
who
God love him.
loves kids. Yeah. My husband,
All
when
right,
he was
Logan.
a teen and a preteen, loved Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So I don't know if he's at work right now and he's been tuning in and out. So I'll tell you for him that my husband wants to say thank you for everything you
Well, tell him,
contributed to the show.
he is most welcome. People are always asking me, and I've been very blessed to do dozens and dozens of movies and lots of TV shows. People are always like, "What's the favorite job you ever did?" I'm like, "The one that made young people happy all over the world. That one. That would be the favorite." Although I sure did love being parts of Hearts of Fire too. The Thomasons, Linda Blover Thomason, who was the writer. Did I have a favorite guest star on Sabrina? Gosh, there were so many. The Backstreet Boys were amazing.
Oh my gosh, I was such a huge boy band fan.
Right?
I still
They
am,
were on
actually.
Sabrina. I actually danced with the one guy. He was so sweet. We had a lot of amazing guest stars, but I think maybe the great singer Johnny Mathis was my favorite because he came on a Christmas episode and sang "Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire." Oh, it killed us all because he was so famous for that.
Yeah. So in case you're listening to the audio only, that was Beth answering Kristen's question. Did you have a favorite guest star on Sabrina? So yeah, man. Although you've done some more serious work too, for sure. I remember in Under the Dome, you played a character who died in a pretty dramatic way, didn't you?
No, I die a lot. I've died so many times. My friends are always like, "How many times have you died?" Because I just died recently in Criminal Minds, and and in a lot of movies, in Purity Falls, Watch Over Me, like so many. But yeah, I enjoy doing drama. I really do. I think if I did another series, which I don't know if I would want to do, but if I did, I would really love to do a comedy. It's kind of where I love to live. I love doing, had a big Christmas movie this year on Hallmark called When I Think of Christmas, where I also sang. I also sing. So if you guys missed it, go find it because it's a fun movie. And I sing. So to me, that world, the Hallmark world of Christmas movies is also really a beautiful place to be. It's because it makes people so happy and the material is so fun to do.
Yeah, I know for me, a lot of people find Christmas a little more stressful than it should be. And so being able to step into those films that show like, the family, they go through the holiday stress, they come out the other end with some humor and love and stuff, like that is an important part of the season to me. So I'm so glad there are people like you and I find out they enjoy making that stuff for us too. It means
Yeah,
a
I
lot.
think most of us really do enjoy it. I mean, those people that don't enjoy anything they do, that would not be me. I mean, for me, it's all about, if I didn't love what I do, I wouldn't do it,
Right.
as I have a choice. And I choose to do it because I love the people in this business. Most people, talk about how, Hollywood can be such a tough place. And it can be tough, especially when you're starting out and you're trying to find your way and make your mark and figure out where you fit. But for the most part, the people in this business are super sweet and really love what they do. And it's hard work and it's grueling. It can be 16-hour days. So you have to love it, or you really wouldn't do it. So I've met a lot of wonderful people doing what I do. John was one of my favorite people on the planet. I loved working with him. So to get those kind of opportunities to work with people who are that sweet and that talented and that loving and kind is it makes it all worth doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had a whole weekend now of just listening to amazing stories of how John touched people's lives. And that is why we're here. If you're just tuning in this weekend, this is the Multiverse FunRaiser. We're supporting the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. One of my backstage helpers, who's also on our board of directors, just let me know that we are up to $800 now. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for donating. I'm going to donate the minute we hang up. So if you're watching this or listening to this, this is a really important foundation. And John Ritter would be so thrilled to know that we're all together and that we're supporting his foundation.
It does sound like it. Yeah. So there's information on how to donate scrolling across the bottom of the screen or wherever you're watching this. There are links in the description that you can click to go and donate. And we'll definitely tell you more about it at the end of the episode. But I got that $800 news. It's a big milestone. Got excited.
That's awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for donating.
And we've got some guest questions. Kristen wants to know, did you get to work with Leslie Jordan on Hearts of Fire?
I think I did. I don't, I've met him so many times and I've done so many shows. Like people are like, do you remember that episode? I'm like, no, I don't remember any of the episodes because I've done thousands. But I certainly knew him and had met him several times. I'm not sure if we were on episodes together, but he is a lovely human being, was a lovely human being. I'm sad. But, life isn't forever for any of us, right?
That is true. We have to make the most of it while we're here. I've also got a question from Skylar Productions. Willow at Skylar Production wants to know, Cassandra Peterson, Elvira, has mentioned that she filmed a pilot of a show with the premise of Sabrina, but was never picked up. Have your paths ever crossed to discuss this?
Well, we certainly have a lot of friends in common, Cassandra and I, and we have met a couple of times, but I don't think we ever discussed that. So, no, we haven't discussed it, but I do know Cassandra. I'm a big fan of hers. I'm a super admirer of hers. But I don't think we discussed that. No, it's interesting. When I read the pilot of Sabrina, first of all, they wanted me to come in to read for Hilda. And I called my agent. I said, well, this is going to be a hit and I'm going to be Zelda. And my agent was like, just do what they tell you to do. And I was like, okay. So I walked in and I read Hilda. And then I said, there's like 30 people standing there. And I said, all the producers, and I said, you guys, I'm Zelda. You need to let me read for Zelda. And, when you put people on the spot like that, what can they say? You know what I mean? They're just like, well, okay. So they let me do it. And then they were like, that's right. She's Zelda. So it worked out perfectly. And then when I remember seeing Caroline Ray from across the room on another day that we were all there for some reason, and me looking at her and thinking, there she is. That's my sister. That's Hilda. And
Right.
I was right. So
I love
those things
that.
you just,
Do you two keep in touch still?
Oh yeah.
Aw.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna actually talk to her. We have a Zoom tomorrow. And
Oh.
Melissa and I are still very close. I still talk to Nate. I still talk to Jenna. I still talk to Elisa. Everybody that was on that show with us. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, a lot of the people from Hearts of Fire have left us.
Yeah, that's so sad when that happens. But like you said, nothing lasts forever, and you cherish the moments you have.
Yeah. And you have your heart checked. Everybody get your heart checked regularly.
Yes, and know the symptoms of aortic dissection and advocate for yourself, which is important.
Yeah, very important. I have a friend named Charles Bush, who's a playwright and a funny guy. And he was, years ago, he was like, he went to a therapist and he was like, I'm so depressed. I just feel like blah, I don't want to do anything. And finally his therapist was like, when's the last time you had a checkup? And he was like, well, I don't know. It's been a while. And the therapist was like, just go have a checkup. So he made an appointment at NYU. And he's in the doctor's office. And the doctor listened to his heart. And the doctor said, is there anyone you can call? I'm calling an ambulance. And they literally, took him, they're like, don't even stand up. They took him out. And he was in surgery a couple hours later. And they saved his life. But he thought he was depressed.
Oh my gosh.
That is a really common story. Unfortunately, a lot of people go to a therapist feeling depressed and are recommended to go see a doctor and find out that they have low iron is the example that comes to mind for me, because it happened to me recently. Really recently. Yeah, I found out my iron was just dangerously low. So don't miss those checkups, even if you think, maybe you think you have a different problem than you have or whatever. Advocate for yourself to get fully checked. That's one of the things we're talking about this weekend is John, they thought he had a heart attack when actually he had aortic dissection. So
yeah, which is a different ballgame, and you treat it differently. Yeah.
So,
but he was also, sick for hours and hours before he consented to going to the hospital. So
don't do that either.
I have been guilty of that.
I'd rather be, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Right?
Me too.
And now I'm going to be 64 years old next month.
Oh, happy birthday!
Oh, yeah.
February 24th. That's right. So if you want to give me a birthday present, donate to John Ritter's Aorta Foundation. Woohoo!
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to be 64 next month, which is kind of a ho-hum age, isn't it? No, really, not much to it. 65 is like, that's a big that's a big brouhaha. That's a big change. But 64 just feels like lucky.
What? Yeah.
I'm lucky to be turning it. But yeah, I don't play games with my health at all. If something feels wrong or off or questionable, I go see somebody.
Good.
That is good. Everybody, Beth Broderick, another reason for her to be a role model for us all is she is being proactive about her health. So,
Yay.
And it is important to do all, to do all the things that they tell you to do. Get your exercise. I do 15,000 steps a day.
Wow.
Eat properly, and try to keep your stress level down. Look, something's coming for everybody. Something's got your name written on it. There's that's what you get. So we all deal with health issues differently, but my contention is that if you do everything they tell you not to do and you do it often enough, it's going to get you. So everybody, put your stepper on and get out there and move in this world, because it's such a beautiful world to see. So it'll be good for your body and your mind.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's encouraging, and we've got more audience questions here. Kristen wants to know if you have any stories about working with Marion Ross.
Oh my goodness, she is such a delight. Oh my God, she is fun. She is non-stop fun. And, and she's a character. She's like, well, I like to go home and have a scotch and have some, she's so, and then I like to go out and meet people for cocktails. And, she was quite elderly at the time, but she, and she, it was actually supposed to be Shirley Jones in that movie, but Shirley got super sick on her way back from Japan. And so Marion, they called her and they threw her into the movie. And that's not easy for people, especially when you're older like that. She was perfect. She didn't miss a beat. And she was super, super funny.
Yeah, we've been really lucky to hear from so many really funny people this week. And Amy was so funny. I was backstage and I was so glad that I was muted in case anything actually got heard because I was laughing. I literally slapped my knee several times.
Yeah, she's something else.
She's a hoot.
We've also got a question coming in from Nancy Johnson who asks, how was it working with Salem the cat as a puppet and real cat with Nick Bakay? Bakay? Bakay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nick Bakay is a genius and a lovely human being, so working with him was a dream. But the puppet, honest to God, I would forget it was a puppet. I would just be petting it, talking to it when we weren't rolling. People would be like, it's so not cute. I'm terrible that way. I'm always holding the phone. People are like, it's not a real phone. I'm like, it is to me. The props all become really real. And Salem just felt really real. We had some live cats too. We had Elvis was the main live cat. And Elvis was amazing. He would drive in, at one point, there was a scene where he had to drive in on a fire truck, climb the ladder onto the table, and pretend to put out the fire. Oh, a cat. And I used to go home to my cat and be like, what did you do all day? Nothing. Everyone is driving fire trucks and putting out fires, and you're just lying to, it was an amazing animal. Elvis, it was his name, who played Salem most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I loved working with both the puppet and with Nick Bakay. Nick Bakay is very, very, very smart, funny, incredible improviser. I mean, he just made stuff up on the spot that would just have you rolling. So it was fun.
Another funny person, more funny stories. I have laughed so much this weekend. It's been important to me. I've had my own health problems. We're talking about health a lot in this interview. And so, if you're having some health problems getting you down right now, go watch Beth Broderick or any of the other celebrities and any of the funny stuff that we've talked about this weekend and cheer yourself up, right?
Yeah. I mean, attitude is a lot of it, right? I mean, it's, you can give in or you can just say, well, all right, this is what's happening. Let's have a good attitude about it and be in the solution. Because a lot of people like to live in the problem. They like to talk about the problem all the time. And I'm like, okay, I'll let you talk about the problem if you can also tell me what your solution might be or how we can move toward a solution,
I love that because it is important to be able to vent. At least I think it is, and get everything out of your system. But it must be really great to have someone around who's like, I will listen to that, but also I just want to encourage you to talk about some solutions and work through things. That is a great system.
Especially when it comes to people who are always complaining about politics or complaining about what's going on. And I'm like, what are you doing to make it better? Because I'm trying to make it better. I'm raising money. I'm, supporting candidates. I'm make sure I vote. Try to help other people get to the polls. So what are you doing to make it better? And if you're not doing something to make it better, then you need to stop complaining. And it's also a great way to endure. There are problems in the world. I mean, we have all been through a lot these last few years with the pandemic and, a lot of upheaval all around us. And trying to be part of the solution makes it easier to get up every day and face the problems, you know?
It
So I'm a
does.
huge believer in that.
It does. Thank you. Molly Daniels says laughter is the best medicine. And
Absolutely.
I totally agree. Totally agree. And Kristen Marie is letting us all know that she got to see Jenna in Marvelous Wonderettes in New York City.
Oh, she is so multi-talented. She can sing, she can dance, she can do a million things. And Melissa, too, is incredibly talented. You know, Melissa has a huge directing career now as well. And
I
is very
actually
into
didn't
man.
know that.
Hmm?
I actually didn't know that. I bet my husband did, though, since...
Yeah, she's a terrific director. I love working with her in that capacity. But I'll do anything to work with Melissa. Anything. You could say, here, we want you to just try on shoes for an hour with Melissa. I would do it. Like she's so dear to me. I love her so much. So I'm glad you got to see them live.
Yeah, Kristen has seen some really talented people out and about, you know, and Kristen, in case you all don't know, is the person who like liaises with a lot of our guests. So even though you don't see her on screen the way you see Kelly and I a lot throughout the weekend, if you want to pop in the comments and thank Kristen for helping us make this happen, like,
Yeah,
really
she's responsible for all the celebrities that you see on screen.
Nice.
Yeah, she's our all-star.
So tell me about you two. You live in the same city?
We do not.
You don't.
No, I'm from Wisconsin, and Crayle's a Hoosier.
Yeah, I'm from Indiana, so we make the long drive to make sure we can collaborate on stuff. So
yeah, but not today. Today we're joining you virtually.
Yeah. I was just curious because you seem so close.
We are. Thank you.
Well, I notice these things. It's my job. Observation is my job.
Right?
Yeah.
When people ask me, hey, how was it to get to interview Beth Broderick? And now I can be like, she's funny and she was super insightful and observative and takes care of her health. Like, oh my goodness.
You got to do that.
Yeah, we bonded over cosplaying as Jean Grey, the Phoenix, and realized that because she's a psychic character, you know, and we realized that we think a lot alike, and then we started realizing that our migraines were on the same days, even though we were. Crayle was living in Colorado at the time. I don't know. We realized we were in different states, different elevations. I don't even know. And so we started joking that we had a Phoenix bond. So that's how we got our name, our cosplay name. And yeah, so we like basically have a psychic bond.
Yeah, great.
In case anybody's wondering what I have behind me, actually, we met doing
Molly
cosplay.
Look at who's there.
That's my Baxter High cheerleader uniform it's from the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, because that was easier to find now. But
yeah, that was fun doing that show too. We sat down at the table read because Caroline and I did that episode.
Yeah,
and there was all these people there, and some of them had grown up watching Sabrina. And I had the first line, and I was like, "Sabrina, is that you?" And the whole place was like, "Wow!" Like this, it just melted down as they were so excited to have us there. It was really fun.
That was how I felt watching that episode, and I was late to watching it like months after it came out too, and I knew it was going to happen, and even still I got chills. I was just like, oh, it's the other Aunt Zelda, like
pun intended, right?
It was super fun to meet our counterparts. It was really fun. Somebody named Molly just asked me if I'm going to do any conventions this year, and yes, Molly, I'm going to be at the 90s convention, March 17th through 19th. So look for that, 90s Con. It's the 17th through the 19th. And I will be there, and so will Caroline Ray, and I think Melissa will be there too.
Where is that? I need to go.
I'm not sure. I think it's in Connecticut.
Ooh,
but I'm not 100% sure on that. You'll have to look it up. The last time I was in Connecticut, at the 90s Con, I was in my booth, and this young woman came through, and she was a little bit nervous. So sometimes people are really nervous. And so I gave her autograph and took a picture with her. And then this young man came in, to my booth, and he was really nervous. And he was like, she loves you, and I want to ask her to marry me. Can you help me? Can I do? And I was like, yes, yes, yes. So I was like, can somebody go get her, please? Can you come back in here? So like she comes into my booth, and he gets down on one knee, and she starts to cry, and I start to cry. Melissa looks over, and she's like, what are you doing now? And I'm like, so we filmed it. Melissa ran over, like, that was so much fun. I think I posted it on my my Instagram account. You can find it there. It was just such a wonderful moment to watch these two get engaged. It was so sweet. But you never know what's going to happen at these conventions, you know, and things like that make it all worthwhile.
I think that's my favorite fan story ever. Thank you for sharing that. That's so cute. Oh my gosh.
He was so nervous. And then he got down on one knee, and she's like, oh, we were all a wreck. Everybody in line was a wreck. It was like so sweet.
Yeah. Love it.
Molly also says, fangirl moment. Beth said my name.
I remember I saw you there, Molly. Maybe I'll see you at the 90s con.
Well, she says, crap, I'm in Indiana.
You
know what?
Molly, maybe we'll make a road trip.
I was going to say, I'll just come out and road trip with you all. And then Nancy Johnson wants to know, which of your favorite Christmas movies was your favorite to do? Do you have a favorite?
Gosh, they are also... I really loved this last one I did, When I Think of Christmas. It was such a fun cast. Mark Adrian Humphrey and Neil and Shanae. We never stopped laughing. But I also did a movie called A Perfect Christmas List, which was with Marion Ross and Ellen Holman, and that was really a joy to do. They've all been a joy to do. I've loved them all, but I particularly love those two.
Oh, thanks.
I will have to add those to my list of those Christmas movies that I love Christmas movies. Kelly and I were still watching Christmas movies like last weekend, even together. We watched one together on our laptops, just messing.
All right, well, you got to watch When I Think of Christmas, so you can hear me sing. I sing the song I sing is called When I Think of Christmas.
Ooh.
So that was really fun. Challenging. They're like, and we're going to need you to sing. I was like, okay. You know, I used to sing quite a lot, but I haven't done it in a long time, which will teach me a lesson. You know, don't let it slide, because you never know when you're going to need it.
They're like, she did that once 20 years ago, so she can do it.
Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, I can. Like, so, you know, it was very challenging, but very fun. And we had a lot of fun making that movie. And Ellen and I we just got on like a house. We were just so close. And I still am in contact with her occasionally. I just loved her to death, and Marion. So that was also a really fun movie. Perfect Christmas List is very fun. If you haven't seen it, you guys should rent it. It's fun. And it's been out a long time. I think you can probably stream it anywhere.
Excellent.
Right. And Kristen says, I like the one with Robert Pine and the reindeer.
Yeah, he's so sweet too. Oh, God. Yeah, and Nikki Whelan is in that, and she's lovely, adorable, fantastic. I just did a movie with her called The Nana Project, and that I'm actually going to do the ADR on it, which is, you guys know what ADR is? So for everybody listening or watching, ADR is when we go in, when you finish the movie, you go in during post-production, and sometimes you have to replace the dialogue. So you have to match yourself with the dialogue in a fresh way, because somebody was crinkling a paper when you were talking, or there was a siren in the background, or something that's interfering with the sound. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, actually. So
have a good day at work tomorrow.
Romance at Reindeer Lodge was a really fun movie to do, and loved working with Nikki. I still love working with Nikki. I see her whenever I can, and Robert Pine. Oh my God, he and I played so much gin rummy in between scenes. He was funny. I beat him all the time too. He was like, "You're a ringer." I was like. I'm a mean card player.
I love that.
Clyde Hall says, "Hi Beth, loved Under the Dome and you running the Sweetbriar Rose. What was it like working in that ensemble? Great show."
Under the Dome was really interesting. There were so many people involved that I didn't really get close to any of them because there were so many crowd scenes, and it was, um, such a complex story. But I remember reading the book on the way to North Carolina is where we shot that, and just thinking, oh my God, this is complex. This is going to be really a wild experience. And it was the same people that I did Lost for, as I was on Lost for a couple of seasons. So I knew it was going to be a great production. I knew it was going to have good production values, and it was, and it did, and it was an interesting group of people. I liked them all.
Yeah, I loved Under the Dome. It was all twisty and turny, and I can't imagine it would be hard to get close to any one of the other actors on that show, maybe, though, because they have so many storylines that cross over each other in like the most complicated way. I think
Right.
really only the teenagers had a lot of like together on screen time.
That's true. That's so true. And then they killed my character off quite early in the process, so I wasn't there for very long. But it was a fun show to do for sure.
Yeah. Stephen Fisher has a question and asks, so when you are making a Christmas movie, usually what time of year is the filming, and what's it like to be in the spirit of Christmas off season?
Well, it's always fun to be in the spirit of Christmas, and really, it is.
A good answer. I agree.
Most of the time most of the Christmas movies I've done have been filmed in Canada, and sometimes they're pretty close. Like Romance at Reindeer Lodge, it was cold, and there was real snow on the ground. But a lot of them, there's one called Blending Christmas that I did in the spring, which is a Christmas movie that sort of takes place in a place like Arizona, so it's supposed to be warm. And it's still, that the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of like giving and coming together with your family and all of that. It's the cliche to say that we all, should feel that all year round, but we should. So it's not that hard to get into the spirit of it. That movie was very fun too, with Greg Evigan and a bunch of people from the Brady Bunch. So that was quite interesting to see those people be in a reunion with one another. They've known each other all their lives, really. They were very sweet, and they're all still very close. So that was fun. But, my big party every year at Christmas this was the 33rd year that my friends and I have gotten together to provide gifts for the women in the emergency shelter at the Good Shepherd Home for Battered Women. And I started working with the shelter 33 years ago. And so we have a big event, and we all come together, and we wrap these beautiful gifts, and each woman gets a big bag and a big box, and and it's full of lotions and perfumes and things that you leave home without, hair barrettes and everything you can think of that people need in a shelter situation when they've had to leave home abruptly. So it's that is Christmas to me. That is that party, that coming together, making those gifts happen. That to me is Christmas. The rest is all just yummy food. My mom passed away a few years ago. My mom was a present fanatic. Like, if we didn't get her like a million presents, she was not happy. So we just buried her in presents. She was just always surrounded by ribbon and paper and bows, None of the rest of us really care about presents. But she was always part of that party too. And my dad would always come down for Christmas. So it's an amazing holiday. This was my first time without my parents. My first Christmas without either one of them. And I had COVID. And I had COVID the whole time.
No, that's terrible. Oh.
Yeah, it was could have been more annoying, but I'm not sure how.
Well, then I am really happy that you usually get to experience Christmas sometimes off season. Maybe that'll make that
Yeah,
up a little
right.
bit.
So I'm hopefully I'll make a movie soon and get to have Christmas again.
Have a proper Christmas.
Do you hear that, Hollywood? Put Beth in a Christmas movie.
Gifts, and then I went to meet some friends, and that pot of friends is where I got.
Oh no.
So, but we did get the gifts delivered to the shelter, so I had Christmas.
Well,
I
that's
was just
good.
not in the mood for any of the yummy food that goes along with it.
Yeah, my family had it over Thanksgiving, so.
Oh, really?
It was not a good Thanksgiving.
No. Mm-mm.
At least it was mild, but.
Yeah, mine was pretty mild. It was not the first time I've had it. I sort of worked all through the COVID crisis, and I was on a mini series called Love and Death, which should be coming out soon on HBO. And HBO is very rigid with their protocols. They're very specific, they're really careful. And so 7 months of shooting, and I didn't get it. And then the last day, I'm in Taylor, Texas, in my hotel room. We shot all day in a freezing cold prairie. And the phone rings, and it's the AD, and she's like, Beth, your makeup artist is really sick with COVID. And I was like, okay, all right. And I was like, oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. She had like 5 masks on or whatever. 2 days later, I was like, holy moly. Yeah, not good. But, you do everything you can to avoid it. And, walking out your door is a risk. You get hit by a car. Or your makeup artist could have COVID. Like, you don't know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
But I got through it.
That's
so
good.
I've been through it a couple of times now. But, it gets easier because you're not as the first time you get it, you're like, it's frightening. And like we were talking about before, like attitude has a lot to do with it, right? Just to stay calm, monitor your symptoms, get help if you need it. Yeah.
Agreed.
Thank you. Yeah. We also are getting some conversation in the chat over here talking about Chips. Molly says, I remember Robert Pine on Chips. I was also a John fan, not Punch. And Kristen kind of replied, said, Molly, I liked John too, and my sister calls Robert my father-in-law, LOL.
Robert Pine is a sweetheart. Oh my God, he's such a nice man. He was so fun to work with him.
Well, I'm sure he would be a great father-in-law then.
Yes, he would. He would for sure.
Yep. Kristen also wants to know, is there anything coming up that you can talk about?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff coming out soon. I have a movie called One True Loves, which is based on a book of the same name, and it promises to be a big hit. And they have the miniseries for HBO, Love and Death, which should be debuting any minute now. And I have the movie that I'm doing the ADR for, the Nana Project, and that should be coming out in pretty soon. So One True Loves, the Nana Project, and Love and Death. Look for them. They're all great projects, and they all promise to be really good.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. And we also have Molly Daniels wants to know, did Stephen King ever come to the set?
He didn't, and I wish he had, because I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I follow him on Twitter. I mean, I've read almost everything he's written. And he did not come visit. And I think he actually took some exception to the liberal way that they dealt with the plots.
I've heard that he's not a fan of film adaptations of his books a lot of times.
I think that he's kind of and for good reason, a stickler.
Yeah.
And his plotting is so deliberate and determined that I think it's hard for him when people take, like my character Rose should have been all the way through the series to the end. So like that kind of thing, he takes exception to that. So if he came to the set, he probably wouldn't have been a very happy camper.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense. So maybe you'll meet him somewhere else where
Oh, I
he's.
would love to. You know, when they ask people in their interviews, who would you invite to your dinner party? He would definitely be one of them.
Well, who are your,
Stewart.
say, 2 more out of 3 people you would invite to a dinner party? Who else would you invite?
Stephen King for sure, Martha Stewart, and Barack Obama.
Ooh, it's an interesting mixture.
I would love to go to the dinner party.
Would be interesting, right?
Yeah, I would just love to be a fly on the wall. Heck.
Yeah.
I love Martha Stewart.
Me
I think
too.
Barack Obama is brilliant, and Stephen King is amazing.
Yep. Willow at Skylar Productions says, "My city of Winnipeg is often used for Hallmark movies. I hope the people from here treated you well during your stay."
Oh my goodness. I fell in love with Winnipeg. I loved Winnipeg. It's I walked around and walked around and walked around, and I mean, I saw as much of it as I could. It's not a big joint, but it, you know, they have this beautiful festival, like this Indigenous Peoples Festival, and beautiful like exhibits, and the people are so warm, and the food was delicious actually. And there's like these water taxis, and you know, there's actually a part of Mars that is named Winnipeg because in the winter, Winnipeg is as cold as this section of Mars. They actually have named it Winnipeg.
I did not know that.
So yeah, there is Winnipeg on Mars as well. But it is a delightful place. I would love to work there again, actually. So you tell them that, Skylar. I'll come and see you anytime. I love Canada. I love Toronto. I love Vancouver. Vancouver's like a home away from home for me. I've been there so many times. Since my first television series was called Glory Days, and it was Brad Pitt and me, believe it or not, and 2 other boys. Yeah, 2 other young men, and it was in the early days, obviously, when Canada wasn't really set up for filming. There weren't studios or anything like that. So we were just like in big warehouses, you know, surrounded by space heaters like that. Yeah, trying to make this show. But I loved it even then. I loved being there. It's an amazing place. So I'm always happy to go to Canada. I love getting that call.
All right. Nancy Johnson wants to know, on Sabrina, you did magic scenes. Were those CGI or did you film separate scenes to create the effect?
Good question, Nancy. Actually, the technology of CGI wasn't really available until the last 2 years of Sabrina. So a lot of those effects are practical, meaning if like I go like this and orange juice shoots out, there's a, you know, a thing attached to orange juice in your back, you know, like with a tube. Like it was that practical. Those flash pots were real. We kept getting burnt in the eye.
Oh no!
Come up in your eye. And we did so much with green screen. So you would freeze, and then you would later on have to go in front of a green screen and match your exact body position. And they would be like, no, move your thumb a half an inch to the left. No, go back a quarter inch. Like it would be that exacting. It would take hours and hours and hours to match your freeze on the green screen. So a lot of it was very practical. There's a reason we were there 16-hour days sometimes. It took a long time to shoot some of those effects. And all the animals were, except for the animatronic cat, there was a lot of wildlife that was part of the show. Chimpanzees and Brahma bulls. We had a lion, and they had a invisible fence around the parameter where the lion was, and the lion was just like, yeah, whatever. Boom, blew right through it and was running around on the set. Like, oh my God, the script supervisor went home and did not come back that day. She was like, not doing lions. So, you know, it was very fun, but there was a lot of complex technical aspects at play.
Yeah, that's so interesting to hear because when you watch it on screen, it's all so very smooth, you know? And I mean, I'm sure that's true of like most productions, but before CGI, I imagine that was a longer day for the people who are there physically on set. Now with CGI, I'm sure it's a longer day for people in post. So
Right, right. Well, it's, see, it's changed everything. The technology is just so advanced now. I remember being on, I think it was Blending Christmas, and I had a rash on my ankle, and went to the makeup department. I was like, I don't know, I have this weird rash. Do we want to cover it with makeup? And she goes, they'll paint it out in post. I'm like, really? To just paint it out in post? Wow. I never even thought of that. Yeah. So, I mean, we have these technologies now that are quite interesting, and make, there's still a lot of authenticity that has to be brought to every stunt and every situation, but there is a lot they can do in post that really is amazing for someone like me who was making movies and doing special effects long before CGI existed.
great. We've got about 6 minutes left, so I want to make sure I get to as many of the comments as I can. Kristen
Okay.
wants to know what your favorite book and author are.
Oh boy, I'm gonna go with a recent author. I'm going to go with Amor Tolls, and The Lincoln Highway is his newest. But anything he's written is like written in gold. He's an incredible writer.
All right. And then Clyde wants to know what your favorite Stephen King book or books were. We were talking about Stephen King earlier.
Oh, The Stand.
The Stand, that is one of my absolute favorites too.
Yeah, I love that book. And Amor Tolls also wrote The Gentleman from Moscow, which is a must read.
And Candace Gilligan says, I love Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Well, we love you for loving it because you are keeping it on the air and you're keeping that beautiful spirit alive. And believe me, we all feel very privileged to have been part of it.
Yeah, you're not alone, Candace. You're in good company. Right. Well, I also wanted to know if there's any sort of parting wisdom that you have. You mentioned that you find that Hollywood actually, especially after you've gotten past that beginning point, can be more welcoming than some people portray it as.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The icon's over there, very tiny and hard to see. So what is your advice for people who are in that beginning stage of trying to get into acting to stay positive? Because you've talked so much about staying positive and taking care of yourself. What are your words of wisdom for people trying to get into acting?
I would say know who you are. No one is lying awake at night wondering what to do with you, how to use you, where to put you in the industry. You need to know where you fit, and you need to be able to express that and to help convince the producers that you belong there. People are risking a lot of money on you. When they bet on you as a performer, they're betting a lot of money. And so it really is a business. And one of the reasons I think that I work so much is that I'm super reliable. I'm never late. I know my lines. I'm nice to everyone because I like everyone, but I'm also it's important to me to be nice and to be responsible. So whatever chances you do get, like when I was first breaking in, I wrote a thank you note to any casting director who brought me in because I was grateful to be part of the mix and be considered. Everything's so different now, and it's harder to create those relationships because we're all virtual now. But you still have to, really understand that when people take a chance on you, you have to deliver, and you have to do your homework. And I always say, Make sure your body's in shape. Make sure your mind is in shape. Make sure you're ready to go. And study. Find a good teacher and study and study and study. Because there's a lot of pretty people in the world. You have to know what you're doing.
Great. I think this is the last question that we have time for. Kristen wants to know if you have a favorite Sabrina blooper.
Oh my gosh, there were so many. Oh my God, there were so many. Well, there was a scene, and I can't remember why, but Caroline and I were standing next to each other, and there were these doves that were supposed to fly over our heads. And I can't remember why. And I just looked at her and I said, change places with me, will you? And so we changed places, and the doves fly over and poop all over her head. He goes, I hate you. And I'm like, sorry. And she's like, change back. So we changed back. We shoot it again, and the pigeons come and poop on her on the other side. And she was not happy with me that day.
Oh my goodness. I have to that is really funny. I have to recover now for a second before I can transition us back into our donate video. So if you can hear it through my laughter, this is the Multiverse FunRaiser. We are a free convention that is not just raising funds for a good cause. We are raising fun. This year we are supporting the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. We've been here with Beth Broderick, who's been amazing, sharing her stories of her time with John and a lot of important information about protecting your health in general.
Crayle, wait. I'm going to interrupt you because before you play the video, Beth, where can people find you?
Oh, well, gosh, everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm really bad at TikTok, so don't look there. And I have a couple of official fan pages on Facebook too, so you can find me. I'm around.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Crayle, you can go on with your spiel. I'm sorry.
I told you making me laugh like that was going to make me mess something up there.
Well, it's my great pleasure. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing it in John's honor and in honor of his foundation. He is somebody who touched my life very deeply, and I will always love him. And thank you, and love to all of you for being here. And everybody, don't forget to donate, okay?
Yes, don't forget to donate. We are going to play a very short clip right now that has very clear, succinct directions on how to do that. Beth, thank you so much. I know we just thanked you, but I want to thank you again. You've been so great.
My great pleasure. My great pleasure. Anytime. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Our charity partner for this year's Multiverse FunRaiser is the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. They exist to spread awareness of aortic health and prevent unnecessary suffering through genetic research, widespread education, and radical advocacy. Simply click on the link at our website, www.themultiversefunraiser.com, that says donate here, and that will take you to our Just Giving link. All donations go directly to the John Ritter Foundation for Aortic Health. As a bonus, every $10 donation that you give enters you into our sweepstakes to win fantastic prizes. All information can be found at our website under giveaway. So thank you for watching and thank you for supporting. All right. Well,